Hey, what's up people? Hope you're doing well. So this video idea came to me fairly recently because I just realized that some of you have suggested that I check out a band or do a video on a specific band, and some people just shout out a band that they like. And because I didn't know them, I looked into them too. So I figured, what the hell? Why not just do a compilation of these bands and then share how I feel about them? There's one or two that may get a full video in the future because their story or their music was just like particularly interesting. But let's face it, we've only scratched the surface on 90s to 2000s metal. And with the revitalization of the genre, there'll be even more to talk about. Also, I've set up a Patreon, goes without saying, it's completely optional, but I have two tiers, producer and executive producer. So both tiers get videos early. Where they differ is that the producer tag will come at the people who pledge for the producer tag will be mentioned at the end of the video. Those who get the executive producer tag will be mentioned at the beginning of the video, and we can have like discussions on Patreon and stuff like that. But if you guys have any suggestions for perks, you can let me know. I would offer more stuff, but I do have a lot of commitments, but I am open to hearing what you guys suggest. And with that out of the way, let's get into some suggestions by SB. Shout out to you, dude. Okay, so this is gonna sound mean. It's not mean, but it will sound that way. But the name of the band sounds like they went to a new metal band name generator. It's a very new metal, alt metal name. And because of the generic nature of the name, I expected a generic sound, but here's the thing, it kinda isn't. Their debut album, Is This Room Getting Smaller, has some syrupy choruses, and a bit more maturity than some of their peers. Whatever their formula was to get these choruses was a winning one because goddamn, they're so palatable. Even their first single, New World Order, I don't really love, but the chorus is fun. And for that reason, I'm gonna listen to it. Instead, Laugh is a solid intro into the album. Awake is my favorite song on the album. I can't understand why they didn't release this as their single because it really highlights what makes this band unique. The Day We Lied's chorus is so sincere and sweet. Soak is also quite excellent. Again, why was this not a single? I don't know. But yeah, overall, this is a decent release. But it was kind of frustrating too because amidst the bangers were some generic ass songs that maybe were supposed to push them forward, but might have actually held them back. They were signed to Maverick, but apparently requested to leave the label when their singles weren't popping off. I guess it's a story of what could have been for Onesidezero, but they did reconvene for a second album in 2007. Okay, so let's get the obvious out of the way. Hope Diggy is the shit. A Possibly is the shit. I cannot foresee a time when these songs will never be the shit. Okay, great. Yeah, I didn't like the album. But before I get into that, some fun facts. Bassist Dave Hakopian was a former member of the early System of a Down incarnation, Soil. But after only one show, he left the band, and then Serge, Darren, and Chavo made System of a Down, recruiting Andy Khachaturian as drummer. Most of them knew each other because they all attended Rose and Alex Pilabos Armenian School. In 1997, Andy injured his hand and then he left the band. He then formed the Apex Theory as vocalist with Dave Hakopian, Art Karamian on guitar, and Sammy J. Watson on drums. And then they released Topsy Turvy in 2002. Weirdly enough, Onesidezero also had an Armenian guitarist, Levon Sultanian. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of ironic too, because remember how I said that Onesidezero probably could have been bigger if they released the less generic songs as singles? I think Apex Theory did the opposite. They released the songs that were more familiar to Western ears Then there are more unique sounding songs. I guess people call it Mediterranean metal. I don't know if I want to call it that, but whatever. And those songs were successful. So it just goes to show you that what works for some won't necessarily work for others. You have to know your band and your sound and the audience and just how palatable you might be or how unique you need to be to stand out. Another point of irony is that I expected to love the shit out of this album, but now I know why I just never got around to listening to it. I guess subconsciously I knew that I wasn't gonna like it because I kind of don't. So, but here's the weird thing. It's not a bad album. It's just that the sound doesn't work for me. No matter how many times I listen to it, I just play the same stuff. Or I just like the same stuff. Hope Diggy, Possibly, That's All, and maybe Bravo. But having said all of that, I think you should give it a chance because you might like it a lot. Because it's one of those albums that seems to divide opinion. Because it is a smart album that's well produced and pretty sophisticated. It just wasn't for me. For a second, I thought these guys were gonna sue the people over at My Hero Academia, but then I remembered that All Might said Plus Ultra, not Pulse Ultra. Honestly, I have not watched that anime in like 3 or 4 years now. I don't know what the fuck's going on in that shit. But anyway, back to the point. Yeah, this is another band with a bit more maturity, so that's 3 for 3 here, just as SB said. They're kinda like math alt rock or math alt metal. The first time I heard it, I heard a lot more jazz influences than the next time, so who knows, maybe I'm just like crazy or something. I thought it sounded like Taproot and 10 Years met at a jazz club because they both coincidentally needed a clean bathroom that the rave hall couldn't provide. Then they saw each other, fell in love, pissed themselves because they forgot to pee, and then they had a baby that forgot everything about jazz except changing time signatures, bass lines, and minor seventh chords. And I know that sounds like a diss, but it's not, because I actually really like this album. Firstly, of the 3 albums that we've been talking about, this is the most consistent. Secondly, who doesn't love Taproot or 10 Years? I mean, yeah, okay, fine. Some albums are not better than other albums, but this stuff is good and they're good. When they're good, they're good. Incidentally, Stephen Richards from Taproot is on the track Big Brother. The song is okay, but it's the chorus that gets me. The chorus is just funny to sing because it sounds really melodramatic, but it's still fun. I don't know, I like it. But for the album, the Headspace album in general, I didn't like it at first, but on repeated listens, it is clear. This is a solid album with a number of catchy, angsty tunes. They got Void, Put It Off, Never the Culprit, Tired, Glass Door, Despot. These are all songs I can see myself revisiting. As a matter of fact, Despot is actually the closing track of the album. How many fucking times have you heard a closing track that wasn't a major drop off from the meat of the album? It's pretty rare. But Pulse Ultra decided to actually close their album with something good, and I appreciate that. But the reason they could do that is because they didn't need to cram all the good stuff at the top. It's a testament to having an album where at least every other song is pretty good. So yeah, that's it for the, I guess that's it for the recommendations for today. Yeah, shout out to SB. We got more stuff to check out obviously, but I thought to keep it to 3 today. No need to overload with the suggestions, especially on the first one. It's just a lighter video to hold you guys until the denser stuff is researched, compiled, and published. So yeah, again, if you want to become a member of the Patreon, get your name on that video, that'll be cool. It's one of those videos that, yeah, you know me, you know how in depth we get here. So yeah, if you want to have your name on that and future releases, you know, chip in. And of course, you don't have to because this stuff is free. It's always going to be free. But other than that, I hope you guys check out these bands. and find something that you like and that you suggest the bands you like that I maybe don't know. I'm totally open to hearing new shit. Always am. Always thankful for the community here. And yeah, so thanks for watching.